Hello guys, Jared here, and I'm going to do a review of the TV series Police Squad. Yes, created by David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, and stars Leslie Nielsen, Alan North, Peter Lupus, and Ed Williams. And basically, there are only 6 episodes of this ever made, and of course, the series was made into the Naked Gun movies, and I'll review these too, but these are also just hilarious. And so yeah, there are only 6 episodes of this ever made, and basically the team of David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, they reused Leslie Nielsen from, because they used him before in their film Airplane, and he was a serious actor for many years before he was in comedies, and he's a really good actor, and he's really good at being very deadpan, and he takes everything completely seriously, even when he's saying things that are just really ridiculous. And yeah, and what I also love about the show, a whole running joke is, if you see on the back, I don't know if you can see, when it's the list of episodes, it has the episode name and then another name in brackets, and basically every episode, when it has that says the name of the episode, there's a voiceover that says the name of the episode, but the text always says something completely different to what he says. So yeah. So this is the humour in Police Squad. I think it's very sort of cartoony, a lot of like slapsticky stuff. Also like a lot of wordplay stuff I like, such as in the first episode is about the murder of somebody called Mr. Twice, and there's a whole confusing thing because he was only shot once. So, yeah, there's a whole thing where Frank, Leslie Nielsen, he asks him, the woman, did you shoot twice? And she says, no, I only shot once. And then Ed Hocken, who's played by Alan North, he says, no, Mr. Twice is the man that you shot. He said, oh well, in that case, then I did shoot twice. And then Frank says, oh, so now you're changing the story. But yeah, so yeah, we have Frank Drebin, who's played by Leslie Nielsen, and of course he went on to be in the movies as well. But a lot of the other cast, they actually changed for the movies. Like in the series, we have Alan North as Captain Ed Hocken, and in the movies he's played by George Kennedy. In this show we have Peter Lupus as Norberg, and in the movies they changed the character's name to Norberg, and in the movies he's played by O.J. Simpson. And I think Norberg and Nordberg are meant to be different characters, I have a feeling, and I think the reason why they changed the name slightly is because in the movies he's black, and it just wouldn't make sense really for him to suddenly be black. And in the series we have Ed Williams as Ted Olsen, who's like the parody of Q from the James Bond movies, who basically makes all the gadgets in Police Squad. And Ed Williams also returns for the movies, and we also have a character called Al, who's basically, the whole joke of Al is that you never see his face, and he's played by Ronald Taylor, and Ronald Taylor is in the first Naked Gun movie, but he's not in the rest of them. And there's a running gag in the show of basically whenever when Frank goes to get his shoes polished, he gives money to the person polishing his shoes, and because he gets paid, he tells him all the answers, and basically it's just hilarious how this shoe polisher knows the answer to everything, and then after Frank does it, somebody else comes and pays him, and he just knows the answer to everything. It's just Yeah. So yeah, of course, this is very much like a parody of like detective shows, and I think it probably took a lot of sort of inspiration from the Pink Panther films, of course. But that's also like a comedy about a detective, and basically, and yeah, and I think it is very funny. And I actually prefer it to the Police Squad and Naked Gun to Airplane, which of course Airplane was what made Leslie Nielsen into more of a comedic actor, but I think the Naked Gun and Police Squad series are just funnier generally. And also I love the whole running gag where at the end of every episode, you know, some TV shows they have a freeze frame and it's like the credits going through it. In this they always do that, but there's always like one character or one thing that's still moving while everything's stood still. Like, I remember in one episode there was basically the criminal was the one person who's not frozen, and basically he tries to get away while everyone else is frozen. It's just hilarious. So the creators, you know, of David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, they only directed the first episode of this, and what's notable is that 2 of the episodes were actually directed by Joe Dante, who's quite a famous director who, you know, directed the Gremlins movies and stuff. And yeah, it's interesting to know about that. And I do like Alan North and Peter Lupus as Ed Hocken and Norberg, but I do prefer the versions George Kennedy and O.J. Simpson from the movies. And I know, of course, O.J. Simpson is an awful person, but you know, I like the character. I don't, you know, like him as a person, you know. But I think Alan North is still, of course, very good. But I think Leslie Nielsen is really the star of the show. He's just hilarious, really. And yeah, I love on the back. There are 8 million stories in the naked city. Here are 6. Yeah, and you know, I think it kind of works as a short series, because I honestly think if it went on for a long time, maybe all the running jokes in it would have gotten old. But you know, who knows? Maybe if it did go on, you know, for another season or so, you know, maybe they would have changed it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I saw Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama. He said once that you know, he believed if it came out today, it would, you know, everyone would love it. It would be a huge, successful TV show, and it would go on longer. Which, yeah, he is the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama, you know, great shows. But then again, we can all agree that The Simpsons has been going on for far too long. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this. Of course, it wasn't, you know, the movies made it more successful, this franchise. Yeah, the movies were far more popular than the show. Some people might not know that it was a TV show before the movies, but yeah, I'd highly recommend yeah, the TV show. It's just hilarious, and yeah, bye. And if you haven't seen the movies or the show, I definitely recommend watching the movies as well. And I think the movies are a very good adaptation. They're a lot more cinematic than the show, because you know, you get some movies based on TV shows that are basically just an extended episode of the show, but these movies are definitely feel a lot more like, you know, more cinematic than the show. But the show, of course, is still hilarious. And yeah, thanks for watching.